Dr. Zrinka Štimac is a senior research fellow at Georg Eckert Institute, Leibniz Institute for International Textbook Research. She's currently conducting a DFG project, Transnational Discourses on Education, focused on religion, where she analyzes religion in normative discourses by UNESCO, OSCE, and Council of Europe. She has worked at different universities in Germany and Europe. Her research interests include religion in segments such as international politics, educational politics, production and content of educational media, and theoretical and methodological approaches to religions and worldviews in rural societies. So, thank you, Dr. Štimac, for being here. And I ask you, to what extent and how does Georg Eckert Institute deal with the religious studies?
First of all, thank you very much for the introduction and also for the invitation to contribute in this frame. Indeed, at the Georg Eckert Institute, Leibniz Institute for International Textbook Research, we conduct a research on religion from different perspectives and since many years. We have, as you have already said, I'm coming from the study of religion, but there are also colleagues coming from study of Islam, from history, from politics, etc. And all of us are dealing with depiction of, not all of us and the Institute, but all of us dealing with religion, depiction on religion in different textbooks. That means not only in textbooks such as religious education, Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, Islamic, etc., but also in textbooks like ethics education, different integrative forms of education, inclusive education, etc., and also religion in history textbooks and geography textbooks. So there is a wide range of topics and also wide range of research in different disciplines that we conduct at the Institute.
Okay. Thank you. And do you think that you mean to develop this area of research, and why?
Well, first of all, I would start with why. I mean, the first textbook research in the European frame has been conducted in cooperation, or kind of cooperation, with Georg Eckert Institute, and that's the textbook research on Islam in German textbooks, but then in all German textbooks. So this is the beginning. This is kind of a tradition that we deal with religion in textbooks. There have been a few researches, for example, Islam in European textbooks in the late 90s, 2000, and then 2011, etc. So there is a tradition of kind of dealing with religion in textbooks. But indeed, we have a research program which is quite let's say new. Since 2012, our library started to develop or to broaden the scope of textbooks they deal with. So now we have both history, geography, etc., but also textbooks for religious education, ethics education from all over the world. So this is also kind of a background. And in our research program, we collect ideas and deal with different developments in study of religion, in study of Islam, etc., and ask how different religions and worldviews function, how they produce textbooks, what kind of actors are they, what is behind the textbook, so to say, and also how inner religious plurality is functioning in the textbooks, how it is depicting in the textbooks, and how different religions deal with each other. So there are three different levels of plurality. And one big frame in our program, research program, is indeed Islam, how Islamic religious education came into being, who are the stakeholders behind how the teacher education, the education of prospective teachers have been progressing, etc., etc. In this frame, we have a research field or research team religious plurality, and here we developed ideas for the future. But indeed, there is a lot to develop. We are far from covered many topics, or all these topics we would like to work at. So there is a potential for development, and that team is a starting point for projects, joint projects with other institutions and frameworks within the EU, and also globally, of course.
Thank you very much for your answer. Because you touched second feature of the publication, and also the perspective in where they organized, and also how. But what kind of feedback do you expect from your public, or feedback by the public? Mm-hmm. Feedback by the public, do you expect of impact?
Yeah, well, we work, first of all, we are all, most of us are coming from scientific disciplines. So we are approaching scientific audience and giving an input in theoretical, methodological sense, etc. But we also work with ministries of education, with different political stakeholders, like a federal ministry, for example, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, etc., for developing ideas for future prospects globally. So this is, and also we work very much and intensely with schools. So there are different levels of audiences, different audiences we address. And most of the time, the people contact us and ask if we can give advice on something or make. There are other stakeholders like publishing houses, for example. We would like to extend that cooperation, but it is difficult from time to time. But it's also a very relevant cooperation to work with publishing houses and to improve, not only to criticize the textbooks and to make a revision here and there, but also to include them into our thinking process and research process on textbooks.
Okay, thank you very much. And for the European context, do you think that the religion studies fit into the European context? And if yes, in what way? And according to what perspective?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, I would say first that all of these disciplines I have mentioned are already long-lasting as a discipline since the beginning of the 20th century. And they have been established, a study of religion, a study of Islam, political studies, history, etc., etc. So these are already, these are established in the Western world, and they are already, they're not only part of the Western world. In the meantime, these are global sciences, so it is, and we also work and communicate internationally and also interdisciplinary across Europe and also globally. So it is not, that international approach is very important for the Georg Eckert Institute. So it is, let's say, much more than the European. But indeed, in the research, it is obvious that we concentrate, for example, on religious education in Europe, or that there are specific topics which are relevant for the Europe and not for the Central Asia or Africa, for example. This is important to emphasize. And of course, we have in the frame of Council of Europe, we have standards and norms which are very specific, of course, not only for Council of Europe, but they're specific for Council of Europe. And in this frame, we deal with standards and ask how these standards are compatible with content of the textbooks, for example.
Always in a European context, how do religious studies fit into the building process of European citizenship, not only for the administrative or political aspect, but for European values, common European values. Obviously not for the present, but for the future.
Well, this is a very important question, and I would like to answer or separate it a little bit, and firstly deal with the religion, and then in general, and then with scientific approaches. We know, and it is a practical knowledge, everyday knowledge, that religion has been understood, or has two different potentials. It is understood both as a factor that can improve shared understanding and peace, etc., on one hand, and on another hand, there is a potential coming from different religions to amplify conflict and wars, etc., etc. So that kind of ambivalence, ambivalency of religion is shared knowledge. This is nothing that we don't know anything about. But especially in the last 20 years or so, religion has become, in a practical sense, very important partner, both at the level of international organizations, as well as local political organizations who are trying to make it kind of harmonize different elements in the society, etc., etc. So if you see the projects, for example, the United Nations had a project, Alliances of Civilizations, where they included religions. UNESCO had a project on interreligious, interfaith dialogue, roads of faith. Council of Europe is also concentrating. I'm mentioning all of these organizations because we see it is not only European, it's worldwide, that the stakeholders are including religious perspective as the one which can support specific elements like European citizenship, like democratic values, etc. Another interesting element is that we see that some scientific disciplines which are not genuinely dealing with religion, like a political science, international relations, etc., they also, since 9/11, they are starting to include religion as a relevant factor in their scientific thinking and dealing with religion, not only in international relations in a positive sense, but also securitization of religion, how religion can be under threat, but also a threat for societies. So this is something that is obvious at different levels, that it has become a relevant partner. And in the Council of Europe, we see that different religious groups, religion has been considered as a partner. As of course, religion has been understood as a private issue. But at the same time, a religious organization have been introduced to support the cohesion, social cohesion, for example, and also different organizations, teacher organizations, youth organizations from that with a religious background have been introduced in the Council of Europe, but also within the United Nations or UN. On the other hand, we have in the sciences, in different scientific disciplines, we are making a research, a ground research, basic research, critical research. So we are not actors like a civil actors, etc., that we are working directly on, let's say, cohesion, etc. But indeed, the critical research on, for example, social injustice, or any kind of injustice which is connected with religion. And we see the examples of that injustice in textbooks very, very obviously, and find it all around the books. And also different stereotypes dealing with religions and also with worldviews. I mean, we are talking much about religions, but especially in some textbooks for religious education, we see a lot of stereotypes about atheism, agnosticism, etc. So dealing with, on one hand, on solidarity and justice and making research on it, on another hand, making research on stereotypes is helping indirectly. It is not a political work because we are not politicians, but it is helping understand citizenship or support values of the European citizenship, or also citizenship around the world.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I close for that political view. It's political is the action of the single person, and so we do politics now, also in a scientific area.
Yes. So yeah.
Thank you very much for your intervention and your explain of the multi-faceted area of the religious studies in the European citizenship in the future.
Thank you very much.
If I may,
Patrizia.
I could ask, from your specific point of view, only in the European context, would you give some special advice to European commissions to deal with the religion knowledge, both in museums and textbooks?
Well, there is a lot of knowledge about different religions that Council of Europe is dealing with. Council of Europe have, for example, documents like signposts, and also signposts in a practical sense, and also how to deal with religion. So there is, let's say, there is no specific advice I could give in that sense, but you mentioned values. I think values is much more important. The values that are bringing different things together, different levels of thinking together, different people together. From German textbooks, when I'm just thinking further a little bit, and I'm recollecting what I found in different textbooks. When you see the depiction of one religion, for example, you see that specific religions only have been depicted in specific states. Italy is Catholic, and India is Hinduist, and I don't know, the one is Protestant. And this is something that it's not a present time understanding of religion, neither in these states nor this is a old-fashioned way of thinking. And the less we have of that, religion as a container, or religion as a part of a nation, and the whole nation is one religion. There is not a textbook that is really claiming exactly that, but still there is an implicit way how to do it, and that is something that strikes me very often, and that I think if this would be less of that, we would have more commonalities and more things that bring us together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Giovanni, Patrizia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Bye. It's a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.